class balance, yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned as a druid, it's all good. I mean, nothing needs to be changed at all. I think that every class is equally...
I'm not ready. I need more spirit. I must wait a moment.
Yeah, okay, maybe. Ladies, gentlemen, and Harajam of all ages, last night we were all digging our faces deep into Diablo 4. They released a full-on balance patch. The way this game is being treated as live service and the crazy ability of the team to release hotfixes has already been proven. As less than 48 hours after players got their hands on early access for the game, a whole suite of things has been nerfed. Your class has probably been nerfed. I mean, every class has been nerfed, simple as that. But if you're a Necromancer, at least you got buffed a bit in a certain department. Without further ado then, let's have a look at the full patch notes for this patch and talk about how this will actually affect all of the classes within the game. First up, the devs acknowledge that the main point of this patch is to nerf some of the stronger survivability synergies that let certain classes just sort of stand in dangerous attacks with minimal repercussions for long periods of time. Certain skills and builds aren't quite as effective as they want, and Paragon glyphs, well, they've decided that Paragon glyphs are way too strong, which honestly, fair enough, given that one of my first ones was just 20% damage increase if I had the right stats. 20% damage, that's sort of silly, right? Well, I wouldn't have minded enjoying players being especially powerful just a little bit longer. I think this is a fair observation given that they want the higher world tiers to actually feel like they've got some challenge to them. The first class on the list then is the Barbarian. They reduced the damage reduction from extra ranks of Challenging Shout from 4% to 2%, significantly reducing the effectiveness of the skill at higher ranks. They changed the potential cooldown reduction roll on the Bold Chieftain's aspect from 2.7 to 5.4 seconds, all the way down to 1.0 to 1.9 seconds. Honestly, this combo with Challenging Shout feels like a massive amount of the reason this patch isn't even happening in the first place, given how massive of a nerf it is. They reduced the crit chance increase on the Dire Whirlwind aspect from 5 to 10% to 3 to 8%, and the max bonus from 20 to 40 to 9 to 24%, which is a really hefty nerf to the Whirlwind build. And on top of that, they also reduced the Whirlwind explosion damage from 50 to 70%, all the way to 16 to 26% on Gore's devastating grips, as well as making wreckable objects no longer count towards the hit count, and they also capped it being increased only by 100 hits. So again, Whirlwind has been really messed up, honestly. Then we move on to Druid, my beloved Druid. Pulverize had its lucky hit chance reduced from 33 to 25%, which sucks, but honestly, fair enough, I suppose. Lightning Storm had its damage increased in an effort to get people to play more Storm builds. Grizzly Rage had its damage bonus actually increased from 15% at max to 18% at max, which I'm happy to see. And then they changed a couple of Spirit boons, doubling the required kills for Obsidian Slam, so you now get a guaranteed overpower every 20 kills instead of every 10. This is a massive nerf to Druid's group clearing ability with a number of builds, but again, Druid did feel quite strong if you built it right, so I understand where it's coming from. On top of that, Calm Before the Storm had his lucky hit chance reduced by 5% as well, which winds up being another slight nerf to Pulverize Druid, or any Druid that wants to reduce the cooldown of ultimates. Then they increased the passive damage bonus of Electric Shock from 15% at max to 18% at max, which again is nice for those that it affects the people trying to use lightning damage. As for legendary aspects, the Shockwave aspect's damage roll was reduced from 90 to 130 to 60 to 100%, which is a pretty nasty nerf to Pulverize Druid. And then they also reduced the critical strike damage bonus of the Crash Stone aspect from 40 to 50 to 30 to 40%, another hit to Pulverize Druid. Then they increased the flat damage from 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.7 to 0.8 on the Lightning Dancer's aspect to buff Storm Druid even more. It seems like honestly they want a little less Pulverize and a little more Lightning Druid. After that, we have the Necromancer changes. They increased the damage of Bloodlance from 67.5% to 80%, and they increased the damage of Army of the Dead from 30 to 45%, and reduced the cooldown from 90 to 70 seconds. It seems like they want people to be sacrificing minions just a little bit less than they are. Bloodwave damage increased from 90 to 120%, and then they changed a number of passives, increasing the damage of Shadow Blight from 20 to 22%. The essence gained from Grim Harvest was reduced from 9 at max to 6. The critical strike chance from Serration reduced from 1.5% 0.5% at max to 0.9% at max, and then they improved Death's defense. Before, at max ranks, the most life that a minion could lose from one hit was 45%, now it's 30%, which is a notable increase in minion survivability, especially in the later stages of the game. On the note of minions then, Skeleton Warrior attack damage was increased by 10%, Golem attack damage increased by 10%, Blood Golem specifically had its drain damage increased from 40 to 90%, and also increased the healing from that attack from 4 to 5%. Iron Golem slam damage increased from 25 to 175%, which is a crazy big increase. The shockwave damage is also increased from 30 to 40%. Then there were a couple of necro-specific Paragon changes. Hulking Monstrosity, which affects Golem life and damage, had its bonus increased from 30 to 40% life, and Cult Leader, the legendary necro glyph that increases the damage of your minions depending on how many minion types you have active at the time, was increased from 10 to 15% per minion type, for a total of 45% increase with all of the minion types active now. Essentially, all these changes seem like they want to just make minion builds stronger for Necromancer, which I can get behind. I love the class fantasy of the Necromancer just having a horde of the undead just trailing behind them, ready to mess stuff up. That's it for Necro then, and then next is Rogue. The cooldown reduction per enemy hit from Twisting Blades was massively reduced from 0.25 seconds to 0.1, and the maximum cooldown reduction from a single use of the skill is reduced from 3 seconds down to 2 seconds. Rapid Fire had a damage increase from 24 to 30%, Dark Shroud damage reduction per shadow reduced from 0.8 to 0.4%, Dash enhanced crit damage bonus reduced from 20 to 15%, and Caltrops damage increased from 30 to 40%. Overall, this seems like they are focusing the nerf on the Twisting Blades build quite heavily, while giving slight buffs to ranged and also to traps. They reduced the critical strike chance from 15% to 12% at max ranks for concussive, which is a bonus that you get from knocking back or knocking down enemies. Then they quite clearly accidentally included a patch note for Rogue with a necro line. This is definitely a mistake, or else maybe I'm wrong and Rogue suddenly has a skeleton minion build that I was definitely not aware of.
That would be cool.
Then Sorcerer, oh poor Sorcerer, you've been hit just a little bit hard. Most notably the Arc Lash build, which is very popular right now. Arc Lash's lucky hit chance has been more than halved, now down to 14%, and Glinting Arc Lash's cooldown reduction brought down from 0.25 seconds to 0.15 seconds. Teleport's damage reduction duration from the Shimmering Teleport enhancement reduced from 5 to 3 seconds, then the Aspect of Control that boosts your damage on crowd-controlled targets has had its damage bonuses possible reduced from 30 to 40% down to 25 to 35%, which is notably quite bad for the exact same build. That's it for sort changes though. They are generally otherwise seemingly quite happy with this class. Outside of that, we have some general changes that affect all classes, making it so Druid and Necro minions can't take more than 1% of their max life per second from damage over time effects, and then some Paragon board changes. The player attack speed rare node effectiveness was reduced by 50%, then for glyphs in general, the scaling of all of them has been reduced by about 34%, which is pretty massive. Outside of crit strike damage glyph, which was reduced by 66%, the vulnerable glyph reduced by 66% as well, and the inserted glyph's bonus to nearby rare nodes reduced by 50%, and magic nodes reduced by 40%, and glyph's bonus to cold, fire, lightning, non-physical, and physical nodes reduced by 62.5%. Then they just reduced the spawn rate of treasure goblins in the Fields of Hatred. Apparently they felt it was just a touch too high. Other than that, just some bug fixes, nothing absolutely major. All in all then, Barbarian got some pretty hard nerfs to the Whirlwind build, Druid got some pretty hard nerfs to the Pulverized build, but also some buffs to a Storm build to sort of even it out if you want to change things up. Necro got a couple of nerfs, but mostly it was just buffs to minions and minion type builds. Rogue got nerfed in the Twisting Blades department, but buffed a little bit with the ranged and trap department, just a touch. And then Sorcerer got a lot of negative attention towards Arc Lash, but not much else. As far as glyphs in general, that affects everybody. Glyphs being nerfed as a whole means that everybody will be simply less powerful. All in all then, for our first balance patch, again less than 48 hours after the release of early access for Diablo 4, this was pretty substantial. It should shake up builds quite a lot. Barbarian took a massive hit, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Druid took decent hits to the currently strongest build, Necro got some love in the minion department, and then just all of us across the board got nerfed when it comes to Paragon. Having been playing in World Tier 3 with a relatively strong complete build myself, I can understand a bit of a nerf, but only time will tell if this feels better or if this was too too much and it feels worse. What do you think? Do you think that this patch was warranted, or was it just an itchy trigger finger reaction to show us just how easily and quickly that they can be implementing balance changes for the game? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.